Okay, hello, my name is Ashleigh A, and this is my Cap 1 ATP pathways. So the production of ATP, cellular respiration takes place in 3 phases to break down the glucose. So there's glycolysis, Krebs cycle, electron transport chain, and then there's the fatty acid catabolism, which is the beta oxidization, and then the oxidative phosphorylation. So glycolysis, this is the first step. So this process consists of 10 chemical reactions that take place in the cytoplasm. So split 6 carbon glucose molecules into 2 to 3 carbon pyruvate molecules. Then the glucose is broken down into 2 pyruvate molecules, which is pyruvic acid. The energy released during the breakdown of glucose is captured and stored in the ATP. So then the Krebs cycle. So this takes place in the mitochondria in 8 steps, and it's catalyzed by 8 different enzymes. So I'm going to kind of go over the 8 steps. So then the condensation of acetyl CoA with oxalosate to form citrate. The reaction is catalyzed by citrate synthase. Then step 2, citrate is converted to isocitric acid and catalyzed by acetase. Then step 3, dehydrogenation and decarbonization of isocitrate to form alpha ketoglutarate and catalyzed by isocitrate dehydrogenase. The NAD is converted to NADH. Step 4, A ketoglutarate undergoes oxidative decarbonylation to form succinyl CoA and is catalyzed by the same enzyme complex. NAD is converted to NADH. Step 5, succinyl forms succinate and is catalyzed by succinyl CoA synthase. This is coupled with substrate level phosphorylation of GDP to get GTP. GTP transfers its phosphate from ADP, forming ATP. Step 6, succinate is oxidized by succinate dehydrogenase to fumarate. FAD is then converted to FADH2. Step 7, fumarate gets converted to malate by the addition of 1 H2O and catalyzed by fumarase. Step 8, malatate is dehydrogenated to oxalate that combines with another molecule of acetyl CoA to start a new cycle. Hydrogen removed gets transferred to NAD+. The reaction is catalyzed by malate dehydrogenase. The electron transport chain. So step 1, basically the NAD, I'm going to be reading for the most part off of here, a little bit more in my notes, but NADH passes its electron to the enzyme of the electron transport chain at complex 1. As the electron moves down the chain, it falls into a low energy state. The energy given off is used to pump H+ against the concentration gradient into the intermembrane space of the mitochondria. Step 2, FADH2 also passes its electron to the enzymes of the electron transport chain, but enters later in the chain complex, which it enters in complex 2. Still results in pumping H+ ions, but pumps less across the membrane than NADH. Step 3, oxygen serves as the final electron acceptor of the low energy electrons to combine H+ ions to form water. Step 4, hydrogen ions are pumped across the membrane through an ATP synthase protein. This provides the energy needed to produce ATP. As the protons move through the ATP synthase, ADP is phosphorylated to ATP. So then the beta oxidization of fat, palmitic acid is saturated fat, and it is the main form of fatty acid catabolized in skeletal muscle at rest and during muscle contraction. The beta oxidation process produces acetyl CoA and then enters the citric acid cycle. This process occurs in the mitochondria after the fatty acid crosses the cell membrane and enters the cytoplasm with the help of fatty acid protein transporters, resulting in the formation of acetyl CoA by the help of acetyl CoA synthase. Steps in the beta oxidation. So there's dehydrogenation, which is oxidation of acyl CoA with acyl CoA dehydrogenase to form the trans-enol CoA. The citric acid cycle produces the ATP when FADH2 is formed due to the use of FAD. Hydration. A hydroxyl group replaces in C2 in trans-2-enol CoA, which is converted into L-beta hydroxysyl, catalyzed by enol CoA hydratase. Then there's oxidation. Then there's thiolysis, which is the short one, and then the end product, which is 1 FADH2 equals 2 ATP, 1 acetyl CoA equals 12 ATP, and 1 NADH equals 3 ATP. During each beta oxidation cycle, about 12 to 16 ATPs are produced. Yes. So then exercise and ATP pathways. So during exercise, every attempt is made to match O2 supply with demand. Blood vessels in muscles dilate, blood flow to muscles is increased, rate and depth of breathing increases. However, in high intensity exercise, oxygen cannot be supplied to our cells through mitochondria fast enough. The electron transport chain grinds to halt, and no more oxidative phosphorylation can take place. So we must switch to an anaerobic respiration in this case, just like a HIIT workout. Then here's anaerobic respiration in humans. We can't use the electron transport chain to empty the taxi as we have no oxygen. So we make lactic acid from pyruvate, which then accepts the electron and free the NAD+. Lactic acid will build up if not removed quickly. Interaction of ATP pathways across exercise and intensity and duration. So short and high intensity exercises, seconds to minutes. Then there's moderate, there's low moderate intensity, which is like hours of running or, prolonged exercises. And then there's prolonged low intensity, hours to days. This could be any form of competition, maybe a long, ride across America bike ride, something like that. This aerobic system is the primary system of ATP with very minimal lactic acid production. And then the conclusion, the glycolytic pathway is mainly utilized for moderate to high intensity of short duration, such as a 400-meter sprint. Although it does not need oxygen, the process leads to the buildup of lactic acid, causing fatigue. On the other hand, the aerobic pathways are mainly for low, moderate, long duration, such as distance running, because it provides steady and prolonged supply of ATP. While it is efficient for the production of high energy, it requires a continuous oxygen supply and is slower than anaerobic pathways. Therefore, we cannot rely on a single pathway because of the varying energy demands for different exercises, duration, and intensity. It also depends on the availability of oxygen. And then here are my references. Thank you very much.